Everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Christina and today is going to be my Pan That Palette update for you guys, and it's a little bit of an exciting one if you haven't seen my short or my Instagram reel yet. It's the same video, I posted it on both accounts. But essentially I have gone into my Pan That palette, which you guys know is my Storybook's Cosmetics palette, the Little Red Riding Hood one. And I went in and I repressed two of the shades into blushes. Finally, I've been saying I'm gonna do this for months and I finally found time to do it. So I'll be showing you guys that today, as well as showing you the eyeshadows that are remaining inside this palette, the progress on those, and then all of that. So I'm very excited about this video. Basically my Pan That palette is I'm working on this palette for the year, and my goal is to finish all of the eyeshadows in it so I can ultimately declutter this entire bulky packaging by the end of the year. And we are doing really well. This might be my first time ever finishing a whole palette in a year, kind of. Because I don't know if I'm going to say that I'm going to finish the blushes too, but we'll see. For the most part, if I can get this whole palette out of my collection and empty, I will be happy. So, like I said, yesterday I posted a Instagram reel, or a couple days ago now, and a YouTube short showing me repressing two of the shadows into blushes. So as you guys can see, there are two empty pans in here now. The red, the shade Red and the shade Peril are completely repressed into my Lorac palette, which this is an empty face palette from Lorac. I finished up a lot of these shades in previous Pan That palettes and Project Pans. So it was empty, and I just love the packaging on this, so I would love to reuse it. It's also very thin packaging, and just overall I like it, so I didn't want to throw it out. So I've been holding on to it while it's been pretty empty and been wanting to repress things into it. So the shade Peril ended up making these two blushes here at the top. It honestly looked darker before I pressed it down, and it swatched into this really pretty neutral pink blush. I think I'm gonna get a ton of use out of it. Obviously it made two blushes, so that's a lot. I don't think my goal will be to finish these blushes at all. It will be to maybe hit pan on them, because I added more eyeshadows into them. So I don't think that's really fair to me if I repress these into blushes to then be like, oh, you have to also finish these blushes. If I can hit pan on them, I'm gonna consider that a win, but it's not going to be a necessary thing for me. The fact that they are in something that I'm going to probably reach for more often than them as eyeshadows was enough of a win for me. The shade Red is obviously right here, and it's the deeper red shade. I can see me getting a lot of use out of this in the winter, because I really like red blush in the winter, but it came out to this beautiful red blush. I also ended up using a lot of other palettes in this, like eyeshadow palettes. So I had a stack of decluttered eyeshadow palettes that I did in a declutter earlier this year, and I still had them on my shelf. So I was like, you know what? I was going to either donate them if I could, or I would have to throw them out, because they were pretty heavily used. So I was like, you know what? Let's give those eyeshadows a second chance at life as well, and use shades in these that I could, get more use out of in that way as well. So I gave life to some new eyeshadows, and they're living in here now, and I'm just really excited that I finally was able to do this. I feel like I'm gonna be reaching into this blush a lot because it's just a really pretty tone. So super ecstatic about that. Again, probably not a finishing goal on these because this won't take up much space. It'll be something I can use, alongside, but my goal still is to finish the rest of the shades in here 100%. So if you're looking at this and you're like, well, Bad Wolf looks different as well. I also ended up repressing Bad Wolf. It was broken because my daughter had played with it a little bit, and I wasn't liking the tone on me so much, and I tend to like to use it as an eyeliner. So I ended up using one of those old palettes that I used in here as well, and used a darker shade to mix in with it, and I made this shade instead. Because like I said, I tend to like Bad Wolf as a smoked out eyeliner, but it was that slate gray and a little light. I wanted something a little bit more intense and darker because I figured I would probably reach for it more. I tend to like something a little darker along my lash line because I have really fine lashes, and I think it just gives me more dimension around my eyes when I do that. So I wanted something a little deeper, but with the same characteristics of the original shade of Bad Wolf, because I do really like it. So I ended up adding a dark mauve shade, and it just really helped deepen up that shade a lot more, to where I'm probably definitely going to use that a lot more. It's still a dark gray, it has shimmer to it still, but it's just a little bit more intense, and I think I will get more use out of it. And again, it looks a lot better now because I had to repress it anyways, after, you know, my daughter had played with it, and I'm just very excited to see how this goes now, see if this gives it a different kind of life and personality for me to be more interested in, and we'll see how it goes. After that, there's only 3 shades left in the palette, obviously, and we're gonna start with Basket. So Basket is the like deeper brown. I tend to use this one as a smoked out winged eyeliner, or an outer V shade, and I think it's moved a little bit more since the last update, but I'm not 100% sure because I don't feel like I've reached for this quite as much lately, or at least not over the last 3 weeks. So I don't know if it's moved a ton since the last update, but maybe at least a little bit. The bottom 2 I know I've used the most. That tends to be how it goes throughout this entire project. Journey, this peach shade, is actually what I'm wearing on my lids today. I love it as an all over lid shade. I've said it many times at this point, and I do feel like this one is actually starting to show a lot more progress finally. Slowly starting to expand to the outside of that ring. So there is another ring in this pan, and I haven't quite reached that one yet, but after I hit this last ring, as you guys can see in these, then that's going to be so close to the finish line, and I'll be very excited about it. Honestly, I think that's probably all I have to say. I think it's probably moved a good bit. Woods, I feel like I use a good bit, but I feel like it has really slow movement, and especially in comparison to Journey. I can use like the same amount of these, and I feel like Journey is just a looser eyeshadow than Woods. Woods I use as an all over lid shade a lot as well, but I just don't feel like it gets the same movement at all. So the progress isn't as intense on that one. It's barely moved away from that first ring that's on the center, and I feel like it's just kind of been stuck at that kind of point for weeks and months at this point. So I don't really know what else to do. I tend to try to pack it on when I do wear it, especially if I'm wearing it as a lid shade. But obviously I don't want to be wearing like a full-on dark smoky eye every day. So I don't know, maybe once winter hits and we'll be in a different location, maybe things will be a little bit different. I don't know, we'll see. I'm still trying, and I hope we see a little bit more progress in it soon, because obviously the end of the year is coming up and I really need to make a lot more progress in these, or I'm not gonna hit my goal, which I feel like I've been making pretty steady progress otherwise, but I still feel like I can do it. I just really got to figure out a way to like load it on. Maybe it's just gonna be really intense eye looks coming up here soon or something, because I would love to hit my goal for once in my life on these Pan That palettes. I feel like if I don't finish this palette this year, I feel like I'm not even gonna try and do a Pan That palette next year. It's gonna have to be something else, because clearly it's not working. Clearly I'm not good at this. I've never finished one, but we'll see. Anyways, that is it, you guys. That is the entire update on my Pan That palette. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Wish me luck on this, I guess, but you know, I'm truthfully am trying as hard as I possibly can at this point. So if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but I hope you guys are enjoying the progress regardless. And if you did, hit the thumbs up button and hit the subscribe button. If for any reason you haven't seen any of my videos before, or hit the subscribe button, go ahead and do that for me, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.
All right, ooh baby, just hold tight. We're up at the moonlight, believe in the magic. On side, we'll make it feel just right. Just look at that bright light, believe in the magic.